More times than not, you turn on your water.
Or I'm drinking the crap that I'm putting in my toilet.
Can I just
Your
interrupt you?
No.
Why
I
don't
heard from other people.
you charge the developers?
But all of this is for the future, because again, we have capacity. The issue I keep trying to harp on, I had a lunch with somebody and explained this. We've got capacity right now, including some of the new builds, Buffalo Creek and whatnot, to get us to 2037. After that, we're gonna have to buy our water from Peace River Water Authority.
Wow.
Well, and we're a member. We've been a member since day one, 1981. We've been a member. I'm the board representative for that.
Until Kevin picked you up.
Nobody will pick me up. It's so complicated.
Sorry, George.
They're looking for me on that one. So, the issue, if you think 9.5% increase in
It's
water
ridiculous.
was high now, wait until we tell you you're buying water from Peace River, because we don't even have the adequate pipes to get here from Peace River.
Wow.
So we, Manatee County, have the sole responsibility of building those pipes. We, Manatee County, have the sole responsibility of building the reservoirs to create the capacity of Peace River to hold the water for us. And we, as Manatee County, have to buy water from Peace River, whose rates are twice what ours are. So that's when your water rate's gonna go up, unless we create our own capacity here, which we have the ability to do if we're collecting enough money to increase our capacity and our supply here in Manatee County to avoid Peace River as long as humanly possible. That's what I'm working on. That's why I'm trying to get the facility investment fees east of the FDAB line substantially increased, because
You want to do that? You want to do that?
I'm the one who proposed that they
East
should
of
be,
the FDAB line?
Taking the plan all the way.
they're already approved. What am I gonna do?
Well, you don't have to build.
They're already
Under
approved.
infill, you don't have to build it for them, right?
I don't have to build the pipes, but I have
That's
to put,
right.
I have to put water in their pipes. Where's that capacity coming from?
Well, I don't know. We shouldn't have to pay for their pipes. The question comes down again, developers.
Agreed.
Developers.
Agreed.
We're doing
Agreed.
anything the developers want, and we create those islands of development out in Parish that have no water, no sewer, and that's where the 600 million comes in, right? It's money that we have paid in to benefit the developers.
He's got a point.
I'm not gonna say yes or no, because you're making an assumption. I can't say your assumption's wrong, but I can't say your assumption is right. The $600 million, it was funded previously, clearly, from current taxpayers.
Right.
That money
And it's
can be
gone up
spent at the
dramatically.
discretion of you. That's fine, that's fine.
Dramatic.
That's fine. And here's the problem. Everything built east of the FDAB is not factored into the 2037 schedule, because we weren't supposed to build east of the FDAB. So
Right.
2037 schedule is gonna become 2035 and 2033 very quickly as things start getting built out there. That's why I,
Wow.
3 times now, try to pull 2.1, 2.8 out of the comp plan. Because I said, we need to
How much?
revisit this.
How much?
What?
The compliment.
No, the comp plan.
2.2.
2.1,
okay, all right, all right.
I've tried to pull it 3 times, so nobody else uses it, because until we figure out the reasonable cost of developing over there, we can't keep allowing people to get approvals out there. It was misguided, they didn't, even staff said in, what was it, East River maybe, or Wazy State? They said the same thing, they said, we don't know. We don't know how this is supposed to work. And I said, well, if you don't know how this is supposed to work, and we don't know how it's supposed to work, maybe we should take it out until we figure out how it's supposed to work.
Well, yeah.
So we need to increase facility investment fees dramatically west of the FDAB and really dramatically east of the FDAB if people are going to continue using that policy. Because there's a meaningful cost to, it's not the pipes, it's the capacity. That's where your real cost issue is going to be. And we don't have the funds to cover the capacity increase for the new homes.
Okay, can I just, and ask one more thing?
Sure.
Okay, the facility investment fees
Yes.
are like the impact
They're
fees?
identical to impact fees, except for they're strictly for utility.
Okay, so it would be the developers contributing to the facility
Yes.
impact fees?
It's an impact fee for utility.
Okay, and then what set-offs do they get against that?
They don't get set-offs for that, unless it's affordable housing, they get some set-offs for it. Traditionally, they don't. There's no real impact fee credit for that, because we discourage people from putting in their own infrastructure because we want, for utilities, because we want to put our own utility infrastructure to make sure it's done properly, so that we can put adequate sized pipes in and we can make sure they're done properly. So typically, we don't allow the Pats and Carlsons and everyone in the world to run their own pipes. Even east of it, the current discussion is, we want more facility investment fees, and then we'll put those pipes in, because at some point, we're gonna have to maintain those, and we don't want you screwing them up. It's easier to repave a road if they screw that up, it's a lot harder to dig up a pipe.
So is that what the 600 million is? Is a
A lot of it's
facility
facility, a lot of it's
investment fee?
facility.
How much?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Can you get back to me?
Sure.
But remember, you got a couple other things you need to get back to me on too.
What else do I have to get back to on them going
Well,
along?
let somebody else talk for a while.
No, Ken, just give them a list so we can just get them.
We have a list.
Section
A list.
120.52 of the Florida
Are you
statutes?
talking about the attorney thing?
Yes,
I actually talked to you, I thought I got back to you on that.
no.
Are you sure?
No.
All right. I did talk to that, in fact, I tried to get that done. I tried to get public representation when it came to the comp plan.
Yes.
And I was
Yes.
flat out told no. I said, I was told, that's not what counties do. And I said, why not? It's just for the comp plan, it doesn't have to be for every single individual thing, you're not competing against another attorney and an applicant. This is open discussion with the county, so why isn't there a land use representative on behalf? I literally made this, after you and I spoke, I made that play.
Okay, all right, and,
I'll bring it up on the diet, see what people say.
Yeah,
But
well, I brought it up before.
I will bet you right now what the final vote will be.
what-
I'm
I said, I'll bet you right now what the final vote will be.
well, let's see, who will be absent then?
Yeah, so maybe 5-1.
By the one, yeah. Um,
I did look into that.
The other one was section 163.3184, which concerns what all you guys are supposed to be allowing the public to do. That is, we don't just go to a meeting with your comp plan people, and they ask us what we want, and then we don't hear anything for 10 months or a year. And then miraculously, they come up with this comprehensive plan that everybody's gonna hate and that there was no public input into. And as a result, it was the last development that you guys approved.
Linger Lodge, East River Ranch, what?
Well, anyway, the
We approve stuff all the time.
prosecutor, or the county attorneys conducting a bunch of leading questions. Oh, you had information services, didn't you? And the guys from planning commission say, oh yeah, we had information services. And you've allowed public input, right? Oh yeah, we've allowed public input. And it was a big lie and leading questions without any factual
Golf course.
foundation
That was the
to it
Miami City golf
whatsoever.
Oh, that was good.
Conscious.
I believe it.
Can I put a lighter note on this? It'll be positive.
What was that?
Oh, go
Okay.
ahead. But I'm gonna be a happy person.
All right, then you're next.
Okay, George, this is pretty easy because it's directly related to all this. You and I live in the same community, I'll be on the recording. You and I live in the same community, and year-round, we have water restrictions that say we can only water our lawns
Yeah.
two times a week. And that's with the current infrastructure, with all this water, I guess, coming out of Lake Manatee. And yet, we have allocated between Lorraine and Burnside, I counted from the charts, 10,000 homes or living units in that enclosed area.
Okay.
And now, east of Burnside, it looks like it's another 10,000, 5,000 plus another 5,000. That's for my count. So, okay, 20,000 units. We've got these water.
East River Ranch is 1.5 million square feet.
Well, I'm just, okay, but I'm just, generally speaking, here we are with watering restrictions
Huh?
existing right now. How is this all supposed to work when you put in 20,000 more homes?
It doesn't. That's the point I'm making. We have to get ahead of this. We have to get ahead of this with funds, and we don't have the bonding capacity for it, nor should we use a bonding capacity for it, because it's not for us, it's for the future, and there should be a way of doing it. And the state gave us the ability to do that. Between facility investment fees and impact fees, they literally put together a structure to allow for future to pay for itself. It's literally on the books to allow us to do it. We just-
Where's the water gonna come from for those homes?
Peace River.
Out of
Oh,
the.
okay.
Well, and
In the next couple of years.
Ultimate, well, the next couple of years we're fine. We have a lot of capacity. I mean, our water treatment plant can treat over 80 million gallons per day, and we're only treating like 50 million gallons per day. We have additional treating capacity. Right now, the issue is we just don't have the ability to pull all of our water out of the lake because you need well credits to do it. You get allocated how much you're allowed to pull out and treat based on, from Swift Mud and DP. We are working with developers, trying to get their well credits from them. The farms have a lot of well credits, all that ag land, we have the ability to try to get the well credits, which allows us to pull more water out of the lake, treat more water, because we have the capacity for treatment, and that'll create more capacity. But we have to get the well credits, and unfortunately, right now, our land development code doesn't require them to give us the well credits, and a lot of them keep them themselves.
How is it that the reclaimed water seems to be infinite, that there's no restriction by that?
It's not infinite, though.
But there's no restriction whatsoever. I can
No,
find
because
data.
there's more of it, and it's not being used for drinking and
Our
potable
HOA
water, so.
limits it.
We have our own
Yeah.
laws, so.
If you're on reclaimed water, you can do whatever
Yeah.
you want. Again, it's not infinite, let's not go crazy here, but there is capacity for it. That's not at the same risk as we're having with the potable water from the lake.
So,
Oh, wait, hold on, I promise.
yeah,
Yeah, it's fun, some few little happy thoughts. Obviously, we did not have a large group of people here, and that always disappoints me.
Nice change of
But I think that, you know what my thing has always been, the education, information, and involvement of people. So, I came home from my vacation to the Keys early, so I could go to my other at-large representatives' town hall and my district commissioner's town hall, and they canceled them. And I've gone to Kevin about this, I've gone to Bill Logan about this. Bill Logan he told me that he handles media releases, okay? We've got a Facebook page. There's a chart on the county website that lists each and every single department, and they've got a Twitter account, they've got their own website, they've got their own dashboard. But we have, communication efforts that are not being met. I didn't see your town hall or anyone else's town hall on Facebook or on a tweet or on anything. And I think we could improve on that.
I
But
agree.
we have to have, I love the girls with 311 because I give them any call that I get. And so but I just want people to know that because we've identified certain things and worked with the staff, who is actually the people who do the work sometimes, we have made some progress. If y'all remember last year, we were getting agendas, 2 days in advance? We didn't have a project list for 3 months. 3 months. And we know that there were applications, but they just weren't producing the project list. So they did catch up in January, and I sent you a copy of the email that I sent to Bobby Roy and Jenny Lawrence that puts out the project
You're talking about the
list.
positive one that you think?
Yeah,
Okay.
because there's the ability, when you look at that project list, first off, they aren't listed by district. You know what I mean? They list the district, but that's not listed by district. Secondly, is that you have the ability to hypertext on that PDF into the GIS system, right?
Yeah.
So that you can produce a
I'm
map.
not gonna say yes, I want to assume so.
And I think there's something times where, I've said this before, about we look at each project myopically to give a fair, portion of our attention to each development. But when you look at them en masse, one of my hobbies is counting up the number of new houses on every week's project list.
You need better hobbies.
Well, I tried that stall mucking thing, but that was too
I
dangerous.
heard about your snakes.
So what I'm saying is that the other day I sent, I'm really into the project list, and it's really hard. Everybody's putting all these wonderful artist renditions of what Moccasin Wallow is gonna look like, and what this is gonna look like, and what that's gonna look like. And there's a lot of propaganda on both sides, with pretty pictures, but not the why and how. So we want to get people into using the website and using that for information. So what I suggested that they do was do the project list by district, and give us that hyperlink to the map, because from that point forward, and if you look at the map that shows all the projected developments, it's a little bit different in a visual than just looking at words on a paper, like where's that water come from, and where are we gonna get those roads to? With what she said about the Citizens Advisory Committees, you know what my gripe is with that? Why aren't those people shown? Where are they? Where are they meeting? What effect do they have? You know I'm on the LMAC. You know, of course, that I didn't even vote for that tax. And I'm glad you put me on the LMAC to make sure what we did with the money, and we're not doing anything with it. We haven't bought a single piece of land.
Well, we're finishing up diligence, right? Four of them are supposed to be coming back to us.
And then you're gonna what, reject that one for some reason too?
Those are ones that we already approved going through the full diligence and
Oh,
appraisal process.
No, well, one of the problems is that people didn't understand the criteria for the use of that money, right? I mean, it's not like, and really, the vision, if I asked a larger group of people, their vision of using that money wasn't to make it an amenity to a new subdivision. And that's what we were envisioning buying, like the wildlife corridor, 500 to 800 acres of land. And God bless Charlie, I know he's a tree hugger from way back, but we're not getting anywhere. And I think we're not getting anywhere for two reasons. Number one is because the criteria for those lands was completely different than what we were sold to make us buy into that tax. And number two is that I think we've just fixed this, where our ability to go into the next step of due diligence
We did
was
fix
held up. I think we fixed that one.
We changed it.
But I want to see our citizens advisory committees more utilized. And why are they not at, we know Glenn stands up for the affordable housing with, he'll throw that dog into every fight. But why are these people, I said this before at the last meeting, where is our animal services citizens advisory committee?
We don't have.
Now, we have one, but they didn't meet they haven't met for 2 years.
Each advisory board, to some extent, is autonomous. Some of them are more active than you are all very active.
Some of them are not run by citizens, they're run by the county, and I think that's a
Absolutely right.
problem.
Correct, and most of them are, because they all have staff
If you
representation.
talk back to them, they'll go crying to the commissioners and write you a reprimand letter.
And kick you out the committee.
It happens. I haven't been kicked off yet, so I
Some of
think-
them, look at children's
Children's
services,
services.
they are very
We work
active,
with
and they
them.
have a lot of direct involvement. They come and do their presentations and explain things. Planning Commission technically is an advisory board, they're
Mhm.
obviously active. So some of them are more active than others. The Affordable Housing Board, I was on before I was a commissioner,
Mhm.
and then I was the commission representative
Liaison, yeah.
for a year and 2/3.
And their whole board
Others-
switches over, their whole term expires, whereas ours runs concurrent with, the at-large.
Only the 7 seats run
The 7
concurrent.
seats, right.
The rest of them flip over. This one just so happens that they're all turning. That one, we've tried to make it more active. I've tried to make them more active.
Doesn't the Affordable Housing Board make sense to have the regional or the district representatives just like the LMAC does? I like that idea. With
We
the-
don't, that's the fallacy here. We didn't just create affordable housing boards or other advisory boards out of thin air for fun. Most of these are, not most, but I'd say about
They're
half of
state
them
mandated.
are state mandated. The state specifically told us what all those seats
Right.
are. We have nothing to do with it. This has
Yeah.
nothing to do with why aren't they this, or why aren't they that, or how come there's not more just resident spot. We don't have a say in that. To get the funds for ship and sale from the state, we're required to have an advisory board for affordable housing. We're required to submit a certain report every year. Same with the city, I was on the city of Bradenton's affordable housing board way back in the day. Same thing, same seats, same requirements. It's a state thing, it's not us. We have nothing to do with it. Up until a few years ago, there was no commissioner on that board. It was a new thing that happened, I think in 2020 maybe, or
Yeah.
2021,
Then they
where
put
the state
commissioners on.
changed it to add a commissioner to it. And it was Misty at first, and then it
Right.
became me. So we have no say in who that is, but I have tried to make them more active. I've said, put stuff together, show up, I'll get you on the agenda to give presentations. we've talked about what to do. Like, when they came in and Steve Reinhardt came in and did his presentation, his public comment about surplus land. That was a discussion we had at that board meeting about when I explained, here's how surplus land's supposed to work, here's how we work it. And the whole board discussed it and said, hey, we should push for the board to change our rules so that all surplus land sales
Must.
go towards a
Must.
fund. Yes.
Right, not
Instead of shall or,
suggested,
or
not
may.
shall suggest, but must.
Must. And that was a discussion from the board, and Steve, as chair of the board, came in and gave that presentation. I've been trying to get them to do more of that. They just haven't. But that's at their discretion as an advisory board. If I force them to do it, then it goes back into is the county running the advisory.
Just a note, and I want to let somebody else go along here. Are you familiar with the map that Nicole Knapp produced on the 66,000 properties affected by
I've heard of it.
wetlands? Heard of it? Well, we kind of
I haven't
drilled,
seen that.
we have drilled down into that map. And with our areas out there that,
Did you check your house to see
Oh, hell yeah.
if you're one of the 66,000 people Kevin's fighting for?
you've been to my house. I'm a big white square.
You got a big wetland pond in the.
Hello, Houston. You think something's wrong? And now you know what they used to call back in the game massaging the financials. What was the question that was asked to produce that map? You know what I'm saying?
It was a public record. I mean, at some point that was just produced. It's probably a map we're required of anyway to map all of our wetland areas.
Well-
That's why it didn't clearly lay out which ones.
Well, we see a lot of that. We see when it, and here's what happens. We don't know what the question was to produce the answer that fit. And when we're looking at that map we're out there. My bet is that that map is miraculously going to change when we talk about the 44th Avenue extension, because if you look at that map right now, the 44th Avenue extension and Rangeland Parkway goes completely through what they say are wetlands.
No, a lot of our infrastructure does in fact go through wetlands. That's where the mitigations and stuff comes in. Some of that is, I mean, what are we supposed to do? Build a bridge over the entirety of it? That's
Well,
where the
and-
mitigation banks and.
And that's
all
also,
that
there's
stuff.
the different degrees of wetlands. I'm sure that those are compromised
There
because
is.
they're in the middle of a farmlands and they've been moved or anything.
And
But-
it's completely surrounded basically by a
But
landfill.
my problem is that there are a lot of times the county produces charts and graphs and PowerPoint presentations and that wonderful response to Hurricane Idalia, while my ACA is still dealing with.
That was 3 days worth of presentation to explain how that
It
rain we
took longer
had
than
for
the
a few
storm
hours.
to go through.
Oh, there.
But I'm glad
But
Ravoni
we
got.
did fill a sandbag.
No, it's called sandbagging. That's the new term. Whenever you guys won't address something, like impact fees or the 2.1.2.8 amendment, now we have a word for that. It's called sandbagging. But we have questions, a lot of times when that stuff is produced, and I guess we're losing a little bit of our trust in the integrity of the staff, because we know
You
that.
think?
Well,
Well, thankfully, we have Dawn, who does all the
I think we
research.
do. But, when it comes out with something very blatant like this, you've heard me talk about the signs. I would really like for my county commissioner to take a ride down 70. And if you could read that QR code that's on the side of 70 without pulling a,
Causing an accident.
I know you want billboard-sized signs for every
I would at
reason.
least like for it to
Because
say
they're going
what.
on 55 miles an hour, you can't see
55 on
the
70? No,
signs.
it's 70 on 70,
Okay.
otherwise you're getting run over.
I've said it to everyone, all
I
the
can pass that
QR
on.
code does is get you to a website that has the pretty map that we supposedly want hyperlinked to the project list. Anyway, that map is kept updated. That's all that QR code does, is get you to a website. You don't need a
George,
QR
the
code
sign,
to
the
go
sign
to.
says public hearing, and then it's got the code. We don't know if, it means, we found a minefield here, there's some major pollutants, we're gonna bomb this place tomorrow. It doesn't make any sense.
You're thinking there's a hypothetical chance we're gonna
No,
put up a
it's
yellow
not
sign, say
hypothetical
we're
at all,
bombing this
Gary.
place
No,
tomorrow,
no.
please read
Or the aquifer
You
is
could be blowing it up.
collapsed.
it. That's not what those signs are
That's what's
for.
happening.
That's not what they're for.
But that's what I'm saying, if you see a sign that says public hearing, but it's at least before, it
Understood.
would tell us something.
Understood.
There was actually an email
Good plan.
that you can't even read, which,
Okay, I know what you're, I know what you're,
okay,
we've
because
had this
that's been
discussion
there before.
40 times.
3
Like I said, these QR codes go to a website. This is for everyone else, 'cause I know you know it. The QR code simply goes to a website. It's a very nice GIS website. It was just created, what, 18 months ago or so?
Not that right.
It's better than the signs.
I know, and
Yeah.
so is-
So all it does is take you there. You can look at a map of the whole county and see every parcel that's up for any kind of rezone or discussion in front of the board. At any point, you can click on it, it'll bring you to the documents, it'll let you know what's coming up. It gives you all the information. My recommendation to everyone is, don't treat the yellow signs as something to read or click on a QR code, because you're not when you're flying down the road. It doesn't matter how big the sign is. If I fly down 75, I'm not reading every billboard
So
past
I
of
guess
me.
we shouldn't
but I
do
certainly-
campaign signs either that are larger than our, public hearing signs.
I don't put those on 75-mile-an-hour roads either. Those go in front of someone's house. If you're driving that fast through someone's residential neighborhood, then, you know, you need to think about your speed. Anyway, if you go to that website, you go onto the government site, you can bookmark it. Whenever you see a yellow sign, just click on that when you get home. It opens up the whole map, say, okay, this is where I saw that sign, and it'll be right there. It's the same thing as clicking the QR. You don't have to click anything, you don't have to zoom in for a QR, you don't have to read
About
anything.
the GIS is it also doesn't show property lines, which is,
You can if you do, you'd have to learn the GIS. That's actually something I'm talking about in terms, you can, because you can put layers on there. You can put property
But
lines,
it-
you can click it.
I just stopped on the side of the road, I scanned the sign, I about got killed, I got home, I looked it up, and now you want me to layer it. It doesn't, look, the judge of a good system is who? The end user.
Okay.
And if people would, I agree, learn to use the system. I've said this before, just because it works for county staff, just because it works for them, we're still paying for it. We're the judge of whether it
I don't
works or
disagree,
not.
but again, if we can just, I can talk to IT right
Well,
now.
I'm just saying.
I'm just telling you, I could talk to
Thank
IT and say, layer on the parcel lines right now, because Carol wants to see them, so everyone else wants to see them. She's the end user. But then some other person's gonna show up at my next town hall in Palmetto and say, why aren't the wetlands listed on there? Okay, put that layer on there too.
We asked for that.
Why isn't the zoning layer on? Put
That
on
is
there too.
exactly what
Then you
we
can't- then
asked
you don't even go
for
front.
before they even started designing this
My
for
my point is,
3
I
years
have
ago.
spoken to, just to go back, because Kevin has, just to go back, I have spoken to people internally about having some level of community teaching type system where we can do, like, here's how land use works, here's how you find stuff on GIS, and open that up where we can record it, people can come in person, ask questions, it can also be videoed, we put it up on YouTube, so people can learn how to do these things for
3 years.
themselves, and get a better sense of what's
Okay.
quasi versus legislative, how a GIS map works. I've talked to development
Oh, Lee
services about
Washington
that.
was gonna restart the Citizen Academy, and then you know what happened there.
I'm actually working on that too. It's actually on my to-do list. I've already had a conversation about restarting the Citizens Academy. In fact, that was from my last or two, the Braden River Town Hall. Someone brought that up, and I immediately went and spoke about it. I actually researched Citizens Academies in multiple other counties. I haven't bookmarked. It's something I'm actually working on, actually. Hold on. Yes.
First an observation, I am absolutely confident that with the line and block charts we're creating on the county website and the burgeoning growth of the staff at the top in particular, that all the problems that we're bringing up here, they're gonna go away and be solved in short order. I'm being sarcastic, of course.
Thank you.
All right,
We need to hire
but
somebody
here,
to take care of
Carol,
this.
your time is up. But this is an objection for Carol, because she brought it up, and for the benefit of everybody else here. I learned on the Observer today that the second week of November, I don't want to lie, I think it's the 10th of November, you can have coffee with the commissioner, Commissioner James Bearden.
8th.
All right, the 8th of November. So I think that's a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and you have coffee with the commissioner, so he's all our commissioners, just like George is, so we all can be there.
Ends at 10:02, we'll be at the drive.
Yeah. So that's one objection. I've posted, for those that don't know, I've posted it as I often do, and come out in email and things like that, but it's out there, the Observer. Can I ask a question for a friend? You can probably know this question in your sleep, but if you don't, the next series of a dozen county commissioners meetings, you'll hear it over and over again. For the record, going Gibolina. All right, $15 million allocated in federal monies, ostensibly for veterans-related projects, and he says only $6 million allocated aside, tunnels to town, that project right there. Of course, his question is, where is the $9 million? What's going on with that? And since I know he's probably either watching or he will be watching, and he says he doesn't get answers from county commissioners on that, but if you could, for the record, come on, what is your thoughts on answering Glenn's question? I think he's asked about 3 times, and it's going to happen over and over.
Sure, I'll tell you exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so this goes back just to kind of catch everybody up. After COVID, they handed out American Rescue Plan dollars, ARP funds. We received over $70 million of it just for the county alone. The cities received their own buckets of it. So the question now is, what do we do with all of these funds? The intent of the board, which was a different board at the time, but it's held firm, is we should be looking at bigger, more generational projects because these are federal dollars. At some point, someone's got to pay it back, and it's not going to be us, it's going to be our kids' somewhere. So let's build something that they can still enjoy and improve our community overall. So some of it was going towards bigger long-term infrastructure projects, some of it was going towards bigger programs, and we had said at the time, of the 70-something million dollars, 15 million of it was going to go towards homeless services to start improving the community, improving people's lives. At that time, the intent was, we're going to have to take all 15 million of this and put it towards the empty judicial center, the jail, whatever you want to call it, downtown. We were planning on converting that to veteran housing and wraparound services. We then, twofold. One, we found out it was going to cost way more than $15 million to convert an old jail to anything usable. And 2, I was able to get in touch with Tunnel to Towers, who offered effectively to build us a more substantial project at virtually no cost to us other than transfer of land, $6.2 million. So the 15 million originally allocated, which was going to go as a drop in the bucket, call it maybe 20 cents on the dollar worth of cost of fixing that judicial center, was no longer necessary for judicial center. We needed 6.2 to repay utilities, as Ken pointed out, leaving us approximately $9 million. However, we did say that money was going to go towards housing and homeless and services and so forth. Where that money has been reinvested, or will be reinvested as we expend that money, is about 5 million of that 9 million I know of is being reinvested into the new family homeless shelter, the one that was the former substation for MSO that we're doing down in South Manatee County. It's, I believe, 3 million for the renovation. Yeah.
Project, yeah.
3 million for the renovation, 2 million for operations. So that's 5 of the 9 million. There was another 3 million for stuff. Effectively, I believe, last I heard, almost all of it was going towards homeless services. We didn't take it out of housing, we didn't take it out of homeless, it just got redirected from dedicated for veterans to other opportunities because we were creating effectively the same number of units and wraparound services for veterans at a fraction of the cost of the 6 million. There wasn't necessarily an immediate need to put another 9 million into it. There wasn't any immediate need. We're not just going to spend money to spend money. We're not going to spend money just because we promised that conceptually. So for Glenn's point, for your edification, all of it is staying with homeless and with housing. It's just being redirected in terms of where it's being focused. And I believe we're creating the veteran housing, now we're creating family housing. All of it is going to allow for a much broader level of service with that 15 million. But it wasn't taken out and put, I know the joke was it was being used on soccer fields and pickleball courts. It's not. It's all staying within the realm of housing.
Well, why didn't they just say that?
Carol, I'm not finished. I haven't yielded the floor to you yet.
And I'm
Is that a
next.
Florida County Commissioner meeting?
And I'm next.
But did he not ask that question at the meeting the other day?
Yeah, he did. He's asked it a couple of times.
And
But
why
he got
did that
it. He'll
answer-
follow up at another meeting if he needs to. The Veterans Memorial Park. It's supposed to be modeled upon that, which is Hillsborough, which I've been to many a time. Bishop told me that there was 3 locations that were looked at, and that was the best of the 3. One, I find it incredibly hard to believe that there's only 3 potential locations for a Veterans Memorial Park. And I find it even harder to believe that the best of the 3 is the one that is being looked at really conceptually. That's all it is right now, conceptually right now. I've been out there, walked the ground and spent a couple hours. I looked at it, I went down a dirt road that goes in front of it. I looked at all the almost empty business places that are along there. I drove back into the woods back behind there. I saw the homes on the edge of the swamp right there. Absolutely, clearly, you can't put veterans housing here. That's a ridiculous idea to include veterans housing here.
Honestly, I don't think you can anyway. It was transferred to us as part of the Artisan Lake DRI to meet their requirement of 24 acres of park.
Yeah. But as a Veterans Memorial Park, I looked at that and I thought, I drove down Bruckner Road and I drove up over I-75 and I says, unless the feds are willing to build an entryway off of 75 onto Bruckner Road, that's the only way in heck that this thing is going to get anybody. And I drove around all the areas. Everybody, you look at maps, it's hard to do that. You say, oh, look at this, we've got all these grand developments over there. They're like 2-3 miles away for one. You don't walk from those places. And you look at those things, those are pretty high-end homes out there. All those subdivisions are beautiful. They're gorgeous looking homes. Those people don't want to leave the area where they're at. They're not going to go walking to that park. So the only people that might do that, a veteran like me, will drive from South County out there. And all the advantages that they counted about, well, it's closer to Bay Pines. Now, baloney! It's infinitesimally difference between the travel right there. I don't see the advantage. I don't think there's anyone thinking. I know why that project was put out there in the beginning. It was an intent, in my opinion, to derail the Tunnels for Tower project. That was the objective. All right, we're past that, thank God. We did the right thing right there, but now we've got this, and I find it hard to believe. If somebody can explain to me why that was the best of the 3, or why we only narrowed it down to 3, or why that it's a good conceptually thing anyway, because I'm seeing ain't down the edge. We'll all get excited again, just like we did at Tunnel Towers at 11 down, we'll say, yeah, it's been, we're excited, we've already invested money and time and planning energy, and then it's too late. That's all.
Okay, is it my turn?
Worked up. I can't answer because that's not directly, I'm not involved in that project. So the memorial park was planned way before the veteran housing portion of it. That seemed to have just gotten tacked onto it, whether it be for Tunnel of Towers or for a more genuine reason. But we've been talking about that memorial park since early spring. So that part was already planned. I don't know how the site was. Again, I got stuff I focus on, other commissioners have stuff they focus on. Once one of us starts focusing on something, the rest of us, while we keep in tune to it, stand down a little because between
Oh, I asked you, it's gonna take a lot of money to do that, a lot. And if the way can be figured out to where that could be mostly private and corporate money, that's the way it should go. It should take next to no public taxpayer money to do that.
Well, hopefully that is the case. Like, look at,
It's not a method, though.
look at Gettysburg Battlefield. It wasn't government money that built all those monuments. People came in and built their own monuments around it. They just had to get approval for it. So I'd like to think that that's how it was.
Well, the Hillsborough location's great. Been there many times. It's in a great location. It's got a draw, but even there, they've got issues that they're dealing with. They got a guy that they want to expand it, and that guy isn't going to give up the land right there. So it's got issues even there. But it's great. It's right on the river. It's right on Main Waveley. It's got business over there. It's got shops, restaurants, all that kind of stuff. There's nothing of the sort out there. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Commissioner Bearden's more of a visionary than I am, and he can think 50 years down the line and it'll work, but I don't think so.
I don't have an answer to
We have to
that.
put him in a tree with a gun.
That's it.
Thank you.
You're next one.
My turn. Okay, this is probably not a question, I've got 2 questions. This is probably not a question that has an answer, but I'm gonna broach it anyway.
My favorite.
My biggest concern is the watershed area. I mean, the water supply, water capacity. Since we are definitely diminishing the watershed area because we're allowing building in it, right? And we know that we're gonna increase the demand because, they're building all these, massive amount of homes. So knowing that they're gonna need larger capacity, I mean, where, you know, what's the brainchild? I mean, what's the thought
I
process?
don't know. Honestly, I don't. It's a single, if you ask me what I thought the single biggest problem is with Manatee County going forward for the future, that's probably number one. If you have to drive a little slower on a road because it's 4 lanes instead of 6, you're still gonna get somewhere. Just
Right.
leave 10 minutes early. If water doesn't come out of your faucet, it doesn't come out of your faucet. Like, that's more important. The capacity for our utilities is multiple times more important than our capacity for our roads. And so that's in my opinion, our number one concern for the
And I
future.
don't know why, you seem to be the only one that, you know, is cognizant of that. I mean, why?
I don't think I'm the only one cognizant of it. I'm the only one trying to do something about it.
Right,
It's two different things.
right. Okay, second question. I've been hearing now for quite a few years that they are supposed to be building the largest park in the whole county, that area by the Fort Hamer Bridge.
So, oh, Hidden Harbor.
And, you know, is there any actual plans for that construction to start on it, or?
Conceptual plan, that's just a timing of CIP and reallocation of funds for more, I'm not gonna say more urgent needs, but things that became priorities, like we're expanding Buffalo Creek. It's like $11 million, adding more soccer fields because Mutiny has been growing as a soccer program. Little League's been having a hard time because they don't have enough clovers up there. So there's been some reallocation of near-term CIP for it. So we temporarily added the additional parking for the boat ramp.
Right.
But long-term plan there is a pretty decent sized park. Yeah, it's
supposed to be like 200 acres or something.
yeah, I mean, a lot of it's active outdoor. It's not, so that's what frustrates me, is it's not overly expensive for some of the stuff. That's why we did the park. And I even said, why can't we throw a couple bridges on some things, kind of create like an Emerson Point kind of style thing? You want to add pickleball courts later, knock yourself out. It doesn't have to be today.
Yeah.
You know, make it, a lot of people just want, like, I go to Robinson Preserve all the time. That's my favorite place to go. It's like, it's a couple of bathrooms and a kayak holding place. And we were supposed to build a kayak launch. They're like, why don't we do that now? We got parking. Put the kayak launch there. That's a great opportunity to use that space.
Yeah, you know, it's real inconvenient for us to have to drive all the way down to, I mean, I love Robinson Preserve, it's beautiful, but, you know,
You can go to Emerson
realistically.
Point, you can shoot straight from Emerson Point. That's a great place too. There's a beach that fits like 6 to 8 people.
Rye Preserve. You ever go to Rye Preserve? Rye Preserve?
No, I don't, maybe once, I think we were
I
there.
like Rye Preserve.
It's nice when they maintain it. If you get there when they haven't mowed it or cleaned it in 6 months. then
I've
you-
never had a problem with it. Our dog
In the
loves
front
it.
part with all
It's
the
got
loose saying, you
great-
go to the back by the cemetery and everything, sometimes that gets
Yeah,
pretty over.
we just like to walk and we like the trails.
Oh, yeah, no,
It's not the world's shortest horse path, but now
It
it's
doesn't-
supposed to be a connecting trail with Rye was supposed to be the hub of the connecting trail system.
It is gonna be a hub though, because that's part of,
No, it's too
that's,
small to be a
my
horse
point is
path.
that right now, what we're working, because I've been working on that trail system, like the full gate Greenway trail system. That's supposed to be the first real trailhead. We already have the trail either planned with someone else paying for it or already built, basically from the Sarasota line all the way up to 64. So, because SMR built all the way down Bourneside, and they're providing it all the way.
But these are not really the original multi-use trails.
Oh, they're 10-foot wide. It's exactly what we built. That's what multi-trail, I know you want to ride a horse, but I'm saying,
No, I
for the
don't want to ride horse.
95
There are
plus percent of
actually
the other
people
people.
who, the original trail system was designed for multi-use activities, which included hikers, bikers, roller skaters, anything that was non-motorized.
Yes,
And-
similar
and
to
we don't-
Legacy Trail, and that's
we
what,
don't-
that's where, we're actually ultimately gonna connect to Legacy Trail.
Now,
It's already
remember
in the
that
works.
Charlie Hunsaker told me that there was gonna be a horseback riding trail down Bourneside Boulevard. So you know what we did.
I know, if you rails the trails plan and everything else. and then you-
So, we
I
just
know,
gotta
but
move
anyway,
it,
but
give
Rye
it to us,
Preserve-
just move it farther out.
We are out, we have, well, if they ever move everything forward and finalize the budget up in DC, we have 2 different $3 million approved allocations, one of which would get us from 64 up Dam Road and over to Rye Preserve. That'd be the first big trailhead to connect all that. The second one starts the east-west piece that get us from downtown Parish, not downtown Parish, the Parish Park, to work our way over to like Sutton Park,
Up
over
62
to Lincoln over there and over in the Palmetto area. That's the
That way.
east-west
Yeah.
piece. We didn't do all 6 going north-south because we didn't have the right narrative to it. They want us to cap at 3. This gave us 2. This gave us the first leg of the trail as a proof of concept. The other one was more of a socioeconomic thing to go east-west, going from Parish to Palmetto. Both those.
It's the original will.
Vern told me both those have been approved. And so that'll hopefully get a shovel in the ground. Sarasota finalized their plans to take Legacy through Bobby Jones Golf Course and work its way over to Honore. And once that flyover goes across from Benderson over to Professional Parkway on
They'll be connected
other
to
side,
Benderson.
they're going to build the trail over that flyway, which will allow us to connect to Legacy Trail and then start the contiguous process all the way down to Venice.
See, are they doing anything about widening the Fort Hamer Bridge?
Yes, that's our literal number 1 priority right now. Widening, we're already doing Upper Manatee from 64 to, that money's already allocated and funded. The 2 big things, both on the state level and federal level for appropriations we've been pushing for, is the second 2 lanes for the Fort Hammer Bridge and widening Fort Hammer from the bridge up to 301. Those are, we tell everybody, that's priority 1, 2, 3, whatever. That's number 1. And then the 44th flyover, which is massively over budget, to finish 44th. Those are our 2 big priorities we're pushing for. We're not widening Fort Hammer Bridge, we're building a new 2-lane bridge next to it.
Really?
Because that was never supposed to be 2 lanes in the first place. So if you actually look at that, normal bridges are like this,
Yeah.
that bridge is like this, on purpose. It was built to be the northbound lanes. And we already have the landing spots, we already own the right of way to land. And so we build another one, we're just building the other one like this, so that one will stay open and won't shut down as we
Yeah.
build the other one, and then you just
And
open
I
it.
never heard that
Yeah.
either. Well,
So
So-
that's the main, we asked 10 million from the state, and I think 10 million from
so they
federal.
wouldn't have to do all the engineering studies and all that
Already
stuff?
designed, it's
Oh,
fully
cool.
designed, and we already own the
Yeah.
land. Yeah, it would be, not saying it's cheap, but it'll be the cheapest bridge will see we get built around here, because we own all the stuff to it. It's just a matter of putting pilings in and building.
Oh, wow.
But you have to widen the roads first.
Yes, we have to widen the roads first because DOT does not want you to merge in, they don't want us to come out, like widen up to 4 lanes and then back down to 2 lanes on the other side.
Yeah, that would be,
So that's why we're working on Upper Manatee. The hope is if we can get the funding to do them simultaneously, be widening the roads and
Right,
building the
yeah.
bridge at the same time. If the bridge gets done first, we just can't open the bridge till the roads are
Right,
done.
sure.
But there's no reason we should have to do one before the other. That just delays things by years.
cool.
Did you have another question?
Well, so, yeah,
Okay.
it was in response to what Carol Phelps started with, was how, there was Nicole Knapp, I think, that came up with the 66,000 properties that are impacted by wetlands.
No, that was a statement.
I don't know who
made
came
by-
up with it. Kevin said it was 66. He said staff told him 66,000. I don't know who
I,
staff was that he's.
I think the Bradenton Times mentioned Knapp.
They just
but-
they make stuff.
Well, but the nice thing about the Bradenton Times was they went right into the numbers, they showed links to the GIS system, and I'm a huge fan of going into data, especially if it's got maps. I mean, you got me like 100% then. So 2 minutes, I'm into it, and I see all kinds of mistakes. And this is why where I immediately lose confidence in everything that Manatee County, well, if you see mistakes in 2 minutes, how many mistakes are there really? Because like you were mentioning something about by your property. So we live in a 1,271 home community, just north of Lakewood Ranch. That community, I know every wetland and every stormwater pond in that community because I've worked on projects relating to that. I pull up the map for that. Every single thing on this map for our community is CDD property that's ball fields, streams that are Mill Creek or Gates Creek. None of this property is anybody's house, anybody's lot.
That was acknowledged in the article.
And that was mentioned in the article, so I kind of, it agreed with me, but part of it also is, this map is incorrect in that our ball fields, as built per SwiftMUT's records, are not wetlands. This still considers them wetlands, so that's a mistake. And if Manatee County can't get coordinated with SwiftMUT, that's one problem. But then another thing is, at 117th And State Route 64 is a pet peeve of mine, which was where Cox Chevrolet was battling and finally bought the property, the 18 acres. And guess what's wrong with this picture? There's a wetland in the immediate corner of that intersection. Guess what? It's not here. Look at that. So they're marking all kinds of properties that have wetlands, but just coincidentally, the Cox property doesn't have a wetland. How did, in
Don't look at me, you know how I feel about it.
I know, but in the hearings, no one disputed that there was wetland.
Oh, yes, no, they acknowledged it in here.
How did it disappear? Who made this disappear? And this is what I'm saying, is
Somebody,
where's the confidence level that I'm supposed to have in my county if I can find mistakes in 2 minutes? Makes you wonder. And so this, all this land we're talking about with CDD property is government property. So what Van Ostenbridge was pushing was the taking of private property. None of this is private
They
property.
weren't pushing anything. Everything, so the board is like Jeopardy, like they have the answer, they try to come up with the question. Like, they were just coming up with whatever made it make sense, what they were gonna do anyway. So there was no reason to even push it. I don't know where the 66,000 came up with, it clearly was a made-up number. It was just whatever they came up with, I don't know.
And they throw it out at you right in the middle of a meeting so nobody can research it up front.
And they could
Even, but it didn't matter, even if it was true, it didn't justify the vote.
Well, yeah, because they didn't, those 6 commissioners didn't listen to a single thing that anybody said, including any scientists, engineers, or anything. So, I'm convinced that that whole wetland issue is gonna sink those 6 commissioners that's coming the next elections.
We're hoping.
Everybody in our neighborhood feels that way.
But if you cite the Bradenton Times, that's a communist way, you must be a communist.
I'm officially a Republican, I don't think any of those people
I am too, I'm not a
I don't think any of
communist.
those commissioners are what you call real Republican. I don't know what they are.
I just want to, with the problems with the water, and we have all this reuse, what in the future, do you think we're going to start dumping the reuse back into the rivers and stuff so that it comes back around and we're drinking it at some point? I mean, I hate to say that,
I don't think we'll dump it in the river because.
well, not really the river, but the dam, somehow it's going to get recycled. Is that?
Maybe. And here, I'm only gonna say maybe because of a recent tour I just did in Altamont Springs. I was there touring, they do a lot of cool stuff. Altamont Springs is like, if you come in there, it's almost like a lab for cool stuff. It's
Yeah.
the weirdest thing. It's just anybody go like, they've got autonomous buses driving people around. They've got all kinds of crazy stuff there. It's really cool.
No, I've been there.
Yeah, and so one of the things they did, in fact, they like helped create this. Now other places are like taking their IP to do this, is they found a way basically by beaming UV rays or whatever crazy thing. I actually have like pictures of it and I got all their specs and stuff. And I've talked to utilities about it, where they take effectively their reclaimed and reused water and convert it into potable water.
Right.
Which has massively expanded their capacity without actually having to expand their capacity. And they do it in this building that's maybe the size of this room. And then they push it back out into their regular water system. Then it still goes through the whole treatment again. And they're able to do it in this itty bitty space at a fraction of the cost.
That's why I'm asking.
Yes, it's a real technology. I toured it June maybe? June or July? Over the summer I toured it.
Yeah.
It's really cool. I've talked to Evan about it. I mentioned that he needs to reach out to them. So there is a possibility of it. We need to come up with capacity anywhere, but that is something people are looking at. Yes.
Yeah, the other thing is, these town hall meetings were on Facebook. Several different organizations have been posting them. That is how I saw it, heard it, everybody, friends. So that part of it, it is getting around, even though it may not be, y'all may not be posting it. Somebody's finding it and putting it out there on Facebook.
I try. I announced the whole year's worth. Well,
Yeah,
the
somebody,
first
yeah.
half. I announced the first half in December. I announced the second half in June. So the dates have been there. They've been on the county page events section for every single month. I put it on Twitter a few times between one and the next. I put it on Facebook once or twice. I put it on Substack. once, I think. And then they get shared.
I don't
The county was doing them, both the library site, I don't know.
She still, no, they still do. The library is
I
very
didn't-
good.
I
They're
didn't
the
see.
only ones that actually
I'm
post
just
on a
kidding.
regular.
But anyway, the county was putting it out on their
Why
system.
can't it go on the county calendar?
It is. It's not
No,
on the county.
on the actual.
No, I think she's talking about the paper calendar
No,
that.
no. It's the one that if you,
The one on the website, it's on there.
you know, the one that
Yours
shows
on.
the development review
Yours
committee
on.
meetings.
Well, I'm just saying, yeah.
It's not consistent.
It-
You know, the one that has the board meetings, the county, the development plan review meetings, the little blue one. But no, it's not a consistent.
This one right now is on.
Well, yours may be there.
Is there any other one?
I guess.
Apparently not.
Okay, and Sneed Island can handle more than 6 swimmers, because I go out there with my kayak.
It is a tiny little beach.
But there's multiple places to go out.
I
so
love
it's-
Emerson Point. I've done some 5Ks out there. It's a beautiful place. It's really nice. Toured it with Charlie one time. He was like, "Oh, this is a little one. This will be quick." So I toured it with Charlie Hunsinger one time. I've been there by myself. I'm like, let me understand how this. We were there for like 2.5 hours. I'm like, this is not that big of a.
Well,
He was
yeah.
telling me where every tree came from.
Actually,
He's like, I planted that tree.
I'm 5th generation in Palmetto, so I paid for everybody's water pipes and everything that through the years, paying my own water bill. So there you go with that.
Except Sneed Island's not septic.
Yes, well, we used to be septic as well, so we had to hook up to water and we had wells, so the whole bit. But Sneed Island's pretty cool out there, and then the kayaks, because of the sandbars, you can go almost all the way out to the Skyway Bridge on a kayak and still be able to stand up if you wanted to.
Yeah, we need to consider doing the kayak lockers like we did at Robinson Reserve up at Emerson.
I just throw mine in the
things
truck
are
and go.
amazing. I don't know if you've been out to Robinson, we have these lockers for kayaks out there. We built one set of them. They were pre-leased. It basically allows you to leave your kayak there, and that way you don't have to take your kayak from your house to Robinson Reserve. You rent it by the month, by the year, however your contract is, but you leave it there. These things cost something like $300 a tube to build, and they rent for like $30 a month. In the first year, you made all the money back on construction of this thing. And there's like a waiting list, like endlessly to get in these things.
They
We built a
Shore
whole
Gardens
second
has got
set.
one too, don't they? A
What's that?
kayak thing to put your kayaks that you can rent at Bay Shore Gardens?
Oh yeah, no, they have the rentals too.
Yeah.
But these are just a plastic tube that have a locked kind of cedar
Yeah.
door. But they run for like $30 a month, and there's a wait list forever to get in. And we covered the entire cost of building the whole thing in the first year. Now it's just revenue stream for the parks department, and they're all full. So we should do that.
Raise the price.
Well, yeah, because there's people that actually go out there, because
Government
I
is not
see
a
them when I
profit
go
center.
out there.
Oh, gotta come up with reasonable.
All right, that they have these big trailers with kayaks, like it's got 100, it doesn't have 100, it's got like 30 kayaks on it. There's people that go out there and rent them all the time, and
We have that too, but they're all along our causeway and they get yelled at. You know, it's not my causeway. Where their horses are doing whatever in the water, people
Not
are
my
renting
job.
kayaks, not me.
hey, well, you're not allowed to ride your motorcycles out there anymore, but it's Sneed Island.
On the whole island?
Well, on the trails, you might like run into somebody.
Oh, like motorized vehicle kind of stuff. Well, they're not always that big of a trail in some of them. You got like Indian dirt. Yes, ma'am.
There have been some recent incidents with Mosaic and like questioning about the integrity of like liners at Piney Point. Who's supposed to be giving those updates to the community? Because they're coming out, they're so silent. I'm getting them off of Garrett Ramey's page.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gary?
me too.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's no issue with Piney Point right now. As far as I'm being told, I'm not going to state I physically inspected it, but we've gotten so much water out of there that we've been told that one, no matter how big of the storm, we've got so much excess capacity, and two, it's relieved enough pressure from the liner that the likelihood of anything happening there, now it's more of just a timing issue getting the water out,
Yeah, we
not a
haven't had any
concern
rain.
over things. What's that?
Rain.
It can rain all, there's so much capacity.
We
We've gotten
haven't
so
had
much.
any though. That-
I know, that's helped.
that-
Because we still have the evaporators going and moving it out. And usually the evaporators are breaking even on the rain. No. The thing Garrett just posted is from like Bartow or something. That's not in Manatee County. So I don't have information about what's going on with the stack in another county. I don't have that same level. But that's what Garrett just posted. I did read what he posted.
Okay, yeah, I'm just wondering, like, what kind of vigilance is there? I mean, especially, actually, it's gonna dovetail, because I remember, Commissioner Ballard made the excuse that the wetland thing really belongs in the land development code. I mean, like, when should we anticipate the staff coming forward with the land development code update?
Technically, it should be in the land development. I also believe, I think everybody believes it. I mean, we have a comp plan in the land development code. The comp plan tells you where you can build, the land development code tells you how you can build. So discussing buffer distances, setbacks, all that, that's supposed to be land development code, not comp plan. The fact that this is in the comp plan, I think, is just an error from a long time ago. So she's not inaccurate, and it doesn't justify cutting them, but it's not inaccurate that there was a better place for it.
Okay. All right. So when do you expect staff to come forward with the LDC update?
I am honestly shocked it hasn't come forward yet. That's cute. And I'll tell you why. Before we voted on the wetland, like we transmitted it, or the board transmitted it, while we were waiting for it to come back from the state to do the final vote a couple weeks ago, the land development code portion of it showed up on the hearing list, you read the hearing list, showed up for the planning commission in that interim period of time. Because I was told, so I asked, I said, what's going on here? How is this already on there? I got the impression it was already done. And their hope was to get it in front of planning commission so they can bring both the comp plan change and the land development code change on the same day to the Board of County Commissioners, just to get it all, rip a Band-Aid and run kind of thing. They didn't get it done in time, but it sounded like they were hopeful they could, meaning it was probably far enough along they thought they could. So I would be surprised if it wasn't substantially written at that point, which was back in September, I guess, because it was during that window of time. So I've been saying from the start, I think this wetland thing was coming as quick as possible to keep it as far away from elections as possible. It doesn't do them any good to wait till April to bring back the land development code and reopen this whole conversation. So I'd be shocked if it doesn't come back sooner rather than later.
So you think that they'll bring it in, that they'll present the land development and comp plan
The comp plan's done.
quickly enough so they don't think it will have any, when
I think this was
elections having consequences of their decisions?
I
will be-
think this was timed to be as far away from the next election as humanly possible.
I'm sure.
Well, your advisor was saying next October.
That's the
That was
overall.
the original.
This is just for the wetlands issue.
Yeah, I'm talking about the comp
Yeah,
plan.
the comp plan.
Oh, that's
As a
two different
whole,
things.
yeah.
She's talking specifically about the land development code for the wetlands.
Wetlands.
I'm interested in what that comp plan, here's their thing. If, it seems like they're kicking it down the road and it's taking a longer time than I thought. I expected it to take longer than this, don't get me wrong, I didn't expect it to be done by now, but I expected to see more movement by now. The closer it gets to an election, the harder it is for them. Their other alternative is to wait. The only reason October can make sense is they've got that interesting window from between primaries and general. And once you win a primary, it's present company excluded. Once you win a primary around here, it's like, you know, so you get that window right there. So October wouldn't surprise me. Their risk is both with the wetlands, with the comp plan, with impact fees, if we have to redo that whole study. If it gets pushed to where those votes are gonna happen in December, that makes the decisions in this election that much more important because it literally determines who makes the votes on those things.
right.
They do not want that to be
Right.
Somebody else.
part of that election.
Yeah.
They do not want it to be a potential future board because it could impact what that future board looks like. If people know if I vote for that person instead of that person, I'm gonna get somebody
That's
who gets to
exactly
vote on
right.
impact. They're gonna wanna get all that out of here.
Right.
We know that, they know that, we-
Along those same lines,
Okay.
the comp plan.
Okay.
Okay, that statute that I gave you earlier
The
says.
1.2 or the 120 or the 163?
163, 184.
Okay.
Okay, It says that the county is supposed to make information services available to the public. Now, 10 days ago, I think it was now, I was on the county site and I see this, I think they called it information services. And, you know, if you got a question, send them an email. I asked them what information services were available, and especially this TDO that came out in the last time that the comp plan was implemented. Those documents are supposed to exist, and I told them, you know, I want to know how you access that.
You talking about back in 1989?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think it's been updated continually. It gives the technical documents
So
something.
you reached out to the clerk's office?
Huh?
You reached out to the clerk's office about that? One, Angel's way more accommodating for requests like that. And two, they're the holders of all of our records and minutes and stuff. So anything over whatever number of years that we'd be required to hold would be held by Angel.
Okay, well, the only thing I'm gonna say is, you know, why do they have it on the county's website if they're not gonna comply with anything? Then just get it off the county website and say, go to Carol.
Do you have an answer?
I may have an answer, and
Well, wait a minute here.
She's trying to,
Yeah, I know.
answer you, but-
Staff has all kinds of input. We don't need any more input from them.
I don't, it's
An
not.
alternate
actually an
plan,
answer.
alternate plan.
Well, there is.
In the library, there's a department called Information Services, and we frequently house things that are public materials to be made available. So, that would be the information.
Is that an answer?
Yes, it's the.
No, it's not. It's a staff answer. It's not an answer.
Is it actually
Okay,
available online?
next of all,
No, it's not
alternate
online.
plan.
It is available for public viewing at the
Alternate
Central
plan.
Library.
I have people that I've assembled that are working
You have
on
a
an
copy of
alternate
this?
plan.
Not on me. But I will check with my information.
No, you
services.
won't. You won't get back to
I
anybody.
take offense at that, sir.
I take offense at no one answering me, and I've done it a lot in the last 6 months, and nobody from the county answers.
But she
I'm
took
almost
it upon
positive you did
herself
not
to go
email
ahead.
She
Shannon.
doesn't take anything upon
No.
herself. I want to talk about the alternate plan now, that's in that same statute.
Sir, Ken, she's a librarian. She's not like
It has
development
nothing to do with
services.
development services. She is doing.
She's,
I don't care, Ken.
This is Ken, this is the
I
first
have
time.
no faith in your staff at all.
Okay. Well,
Zero.
then that's unfortunate
Because
for
number
you.
one, they don't give an answer, number two, when they do give an answer, it's wrong.
Have you verified the answer she just gave you is wrong in the last 30
I
seconds?
don't care what she says.
But then maybe that's why you're getting bad answers, because you don't
That's rude.
trust the people
If
giving you
you put it
answers.
down in an email,
That is rude.
specifically what you want,
Okay.
there should be a response of some kind. Either it's not available. It got burned up in a fire.
Okay. I can appreciate your critique of the general practices of 2,300
And it's
staff members
frustration trying to
universally.
get records.
That's fine,
You know.
but you're saying you're having a hard time getting information and getting answers, then somebody who's trying to help facilitate you get answers, you're saying, she's not gonna help me.
No.
Well, then why would she even try? She's
I
trying
don't-
to help you.
Why would she try? She wants to make it look good in this meeting.
You're rude.
No.
Oh,
You
no.
are
No.
Hey, all the time, staff.
That's a terrible way of doing it.
It is a terrible way. to run a
Waste
county.
of time.
It's terrible.
You're rude.
Now, can I talk about an alternate plan?
You're rude.
You've already asked the question.
No, I
She's
haven't.
trying to help you.
No, I haven't.
You literally.
I asked about the technical documents. I didn't ask about the alternate plan. Okay.
Hold on, you already asked the question. Does anyone else have any?
No, I
questions?
didn't. I didn't get an answer.
You got an answer.
No,
You didn't.
I asked about the technical documents.
Okay, and she was telling you.
And I'm
maybe
saying
showing
now,
you where you
the
can-
alternate
You think
plan.
I know where to find this information?
Huh?
Off the top of my head, you think I know where to find this exact document from you? I would advise you to reach out to Information Service.
Okay, George, I'll tell you what. I have actually asked you for information. We had a telephone conversation, and you said you were going to get back to me. You did not get back to me. That is the same frustration that I have with staff.
You can't just blanket everybody, Ken.
Yes, I can.
But
It's been long enough, I can blanket everybody now.
Would you like? Tammy
I want no help. I want a response to my email. That's what I want.
I am the response to that topic. If you would like to discuss it with me out
Did
there.
you get my email?
No, sir, but I believe I am holding that information.
Then who's supposed to respond to me?
You want the information?
Well, she can
Well-
help you. She says she can help you, let me.
Okay, so we'll leave here, I'll get a partial response and some kind of, we'll get back to you.
I'll do you one better. You don't have to give any response.
That's right.
I appreciate you.
Yes.
Thank you for your service, ma'am.
Does anyone else have any questions?
Well, I
Anything that,
won't
or
let me ask
anything
it.
that our librarian can assist with?
I have one, but you won't let me ask it.
I will let you ask a question when other people have had a turn.
Okay.
Anyone else have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to tell you how grateful I am for Manatee County Veteran Services. They're exceptional. They've been really awesome. And I don't know that they get recognized very much, but I'm going to let you know that they have been exceptionally helpful. My husband was a veteran. He was retired from the Army. He's disabled. And he was killed in a car crash 2 years ago. And they have been exceptional. They've been so great. So I did want to pass that on.
Oh, I really appreciate that. If you leave me your name, I'd love to send them an email and just let them know that, you know, you passed that information on.
Okay.
They work very hard. It's a very small staff.
I know.
So they work
Awesome.
very hard.
And
And there's obviously been some changes with Lee
Right.
Washington
Right.
and everything else, so we just appointed a new person who's head of that department, so.
Jack Warwick is who was helping my husband and myself. R-O-U-R-K, I think. But I'll give you some information.
I would appreciate that. You know,
They're
I'll give you a
awesome.
card if you want to shoot me an email or give me a call about it. But I appreciate it. It's always good to hear that, because I know our staff does an excellent job.
Thank you.
Yes.
I didn't want to end with my comments sounding like I don't appreciate what county is giving for information.
No, too late.
But I wanted,
Julia, well, no.
what I wanted to finish with is
I've already
everything-
texted Nicole. She's fine.
everything that I heard you say in all the Board of County Commissioners meetings, every time you speak to a subject, you actually analyze the issues, you've got concrete things to say that make sense, and you're the only commissioner that comes across that way, because the other 6 spew out total nonsense just to get some particular agenda across, whereas you're actually analyzing these things and trying to say, here's what should be happening, you're asking the proper questions, and you're doing the right things for the county, and so I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. You, and then Ken. Yeah.
Thank you. I attended the commissioners meeting in mid-August. Wetlands issue came up, 5 hours of testimony and,
That was the transmittal one, the first one we did?
yes, yeah. And I want to thank you for doing just what this gentleman said you just did. And you were very clear, you explained a lot of issues, you took the time to talk to us, the voters, the citizens, the taxpayers who came to that meeting. There was civil discourse when you were talking, and that's the one thing that I feel is grossly missing when I'm being dealt with by the commissioners in general, with you as the exception. So I'm just concerned about that lack of civil discourse, of treating the voters, the taxpayers, the residents with respect when it comes to dealing with us. There's such a condescending attitude coming from some. And I'm here tonight because I'm supporting you. And I'm supporting people like you to run for commissioner. And I'm going to do everything I can do to get people elected who are going to listen to us.
Got someone for District 5?
I'm sorry?
Got somebody for District 5?
Which is 5.
Turner,
Okay,
Lakewood
Turner.
Ranch,
Yeah,
yeah.
I appreciate that. And honestly, I think
Actually, I
part of
think
it
Bruce
is just
Stam is
if
talking
more
about
people,
running
I've
for
been doing
that.
these town halls every month and having these kind of
If you don't think,
back
you
and
don't
forth
listen to nobody.
conversations. goes a long way to,
Better off
you know,
staying
when it
with
comes
what
up on the
you
dais, you know, if
Personal
more
opinion.
people would go out and start
And
having more of
a
this, like
liking
real back and forth
most of the
dialogue,
time.
not just one way from up above, looking down on someone with 3 minutes to talk. I think it starts changing people's mindsets a bit.
Civility counts. Civility.
Have you thought about doing,
Civility
you know,
matters.
this used to
Civility
do
matters.
the post-game analysis.
Distance.
No, wait a minute, I'm talking about a pre-game versus a post-game.
I actually did contemplate something along those lines. The problem is,
I know the thing about you talking about things that are quasi-judicial, and you
Yeah.
can't, but you could explain process and procedure.
I can, I did contemplate. You're not the first to say, why don't you do an
I know,
opposite?
because I mentioned
misdeed
this
and
3 years ago too.
3 years ago. I just
Yes,
got
I
here.
mean, I just got here.
I didn't know what I was doing. Misty wasn't
I
even doing
just
that
didn't
3
know.
years ago. No, but the issue is, one, I have a hard enough time getting votes. If I'm projecting where I'm going with things, it's going to give them more of an opportunity to
Yeah,
pre-plan.
well, maybe not
Against
you,
you?
but maybe a person that can do, you know, the pre-game analysis.
Different
You
people
know,
have their ways. I've been doing these, and as I think most of you are probably subscribed to, I do the Substack thing, which allows a much longer form explanation on specific topics.
it's a pretty good one, but I got an email.
Pretty good. Come on, I spent a lot of time on that.
Tough critic.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, but, you know, we need to go, okay, so this is
I
the
put
kind of
up
thing.
paper with some QR codes, so I'm gonna hold it up as you're
Don't
as you're driving by.
Don't near me.
I'm gonna hold it up as you go whipping by, try to scan it. then you can put
Show
my
me and
Substack.
that little old lady how we get with, oh, wait a minute, I'm old too, according to my crowd, right? Oh, go there. Okay, so this was a public hearing notice that, we got in an email, and, I realize there's a certain amount of legalese of things that you have to say and the way that you have to say it, but it's, we kind of need, and remember at one time they were talking about a liaison between the county commissioners and the staff, and now we've got, what's our new position?
Chief of Staff.
Chief of Staff. But we've been talking about this, you know, it probably wouldn't be as contentious, and maybe we could bring back in call-in comments if we had an educated public that knew how to approach and how the meetings were done.
Either made or seconded a motion to bring back call-in comments 3 times this year.
Well, how come the commissioners are allowed to call it in?
That's Florida statute, we're allowed to do that. There's nothing in Florida statute that
So
requires
what can we do
call-in.
to change
I'm
that?
not justifying not having call-in, but that's why.
Okay.
Florida
because they're
statute,
allowed
after
that.
COVID, originally COVID, everybody can Zoom in because of COVID. After COVID, they changed it to say as long as it's a physical quorum, all other board members are permitted to call in. That's why. There's nothing in it specifically requiring public to be able to
What about
have the right.
specifically requiring that you work a full day?
That's also not in Florida statute.
It's not in the, it's not, there's no state law or county law that says you have to put X amount of hours in on your meeting. As long as you schedule a meeting, you could show up, say the Pledge of Allegiance, do the
You don't
prayer,
even
a
have to say
couple
the Pledge of
proclamations,
Allegiance.
and then you're out
You're
of it.
expanding on this. I don't even have to say the budget. Tomorrow, I'll give you.
Oh, no, land use meetings go all day.
I'll give you an example. Tomorrow.
That's Thursday.
We have a noticed plan. I'm not going. In fact, no county commissioners going. Every single one of those meetings, every single one of those agenda items were continued. 100% of them. It's on the agenda.
So we
It's
had an
on the
hour and a half on Tuesday. I planned my entire day around the land use meeting on Thursday.
The
and you're
Thursday
telling
land use
me-
meeting agenda has said all items to be continued for at least a week. It says it in big letters on the top. Anyway, my point is to go back, not to discuss that, but to go back to that. Tomorrow, by Florida statute and rules and procedures, the clerk is gathering it in just to announce all of the items have been continued and gaveling back out. Not even doing a pledge.
Why are they being continued?
They are being continued because 2 commissioners were not going to be there, and by Florida statute, any applicant has a right to demand a full
Right.
board, and I don't know which 2 commissioners are gonna be there, but I'm guessing they're probably 2 free votes commissioners, and so all of them asked for a continuance. Tara and Lazy C,
Oh, that's good.
originally they were all being continued to the very next Thursday
Right.
in an already jammed agenda.
Right.
So Tara and Lazy C agreed to continue to
And when did they
December.
make the change to the schedule?
A week ago, maybe?
It was week, because I was just gonna get through Tuesday and go on to that.
Anyway, the agenda for next Thursday, I believe, came out right before this, like 4:45 this afternoon. Lazy C and Tara agreed to move all the way to December, just because next Thursday was gonna be too crazy. The rest of it got moved to next Thursday, along with everything else that was already there. It's gonna be a very.
So we satisfy the requirement of scheduling X number of meetings a year. We satisfy
have
the
a
requirement
requirement
of
for
X number of
meetings.
work sessions a
A
year.
lot of counties only meet once a month, and they meet for like 2 hours. A lot of counties. I know commissioners in every single county in this entire state, some on the board of directors for Florida Association of Counties. A lot of them are surprised that we have 2 meetings a month for regular meetings. Other ones are surprised we have separate meetings for regular and land use, because a lot of counties, especially the smaller ones, just jumble into one thing. So the fact that we have 2 regular meetings, 2 land use meetings, and a handful of work sessions is more than a lot of counties.
Yeah, but for $100,000 a year, you should.
I'm not knocking it, but you're saying it's insufficient number. I'm saying if you looked at it on an average, we probably have more meetings. than-
So there's no mandate that says you have to have X number of meetings a
Not that-
year,
not
or
that-
spend
not
X
that.
number of hours in a work session versus a land use meeting versus whatever.
You can pass a recall, and if you don't like people
Yeah, I know
saying they
that.
don't work enough, it's been proposed on bills all the
Always
time.
an option.
We're a non-charter county. When I tried to charter us, I got yelled at, so.
Things change.
Yes, ma'am.
I was not going to ask a question, but now, can you clarify on the meeting with continuances for Thursday's land use? Why would that not have just been a canceled and rescheduled meeting? Why?
Because we still have to continue because they were already noticed. So we still technically have to continue them just for legal purposes.
I understand. So had the notices not gone out, that would have been an
Yes,
option?
but because notices went out, we have to do something with them.
Understood.
And so even in a normal meeting, if only one gets continued for a reason, we still have to bring it up, have a continuance, we have to allow public comment.
Okay, but notices are noticed.
14 days.
Right, so if 2 commissioners knew they weren't gonna be around, they didn't know that 2 weeks prior to this noticing?
No, but probably the staff and development services didn't know they weren't going to be
Well,
around.
but shouldn't that be communicated inside the organization so
I
that
can't
we
speak,
can avoid
I
this?
can't speak to individuals.
I understand,
And I
I'm just
can't,
trying to
I don't even know if
understand.
they knew they weren't gonna be around. Like Satcher, or Commissioner Satcher, is sick, so he didn't know he wasn't gonna be at the
Understood.
meeting
Okay.
yesterday. That's why he zoomed in. He woke up sick, didn't come in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if some of these, 1 or 2 of these commissioners only found out last Tuesday or Wednesday they had something that was unavoidable.
Right, and obviously.
I don't know the time.
Obviously, illness is not something people schedule
Correct.
ahead of time. Understood.
Yeah.
But only the chair.
You have a question?
Alternate plan.
The rest of them.
That statute I cited to you says that the county is supposed to broadly disseminate the proposed plan as well as all alternate plans.
Okay.
I'm working with a group coming up with an alternate plan. So how are we going to get that broadly disseminated?
I don't know. We haven't written a comp plan since 1989. We haven't meaningfully changed a comp plan, for the most part, since 1989. We Band-Aid it and change it on a monthly basis at land use meeting. My point is, you're asking questions about procedure of a policy that is so unutilized. I have no concept of how this is going to
Well,
work.
the statute requires a written procedure by the county.
I am confident we will go in accordance with Florida statute, because we're required to by law or we'll get sued. So if the statute requires it, then I am confident we'll do it. What's the timing or the mechanism for doing so? I don't know, because I've never been involved in a comp plan rewrite, nor has, as far as I can tell, pretty much any member of our staff. It's been 30 months.
Well, just so you know, amendments to the comprehensive plan are supposed to go through the same process. So I don't know how many amendments I've sat in on, but enough to probably basically rewrite the comprehensive plan anyway. And this procedure was never followed in any of
Have you ever
this.
submitted
And
an
I think
alternate?
you must have brought it up to the county attorney, because that's why she was trying to say, I think with the wetlands, that, oh, yeah, it was presented to the public, yes, and they had a chance to have input, oh, yeah. That has nothing to do with what the statute
Is
says.
there a place you could submit that?
Like I said, this is the first time I or anybody's done it, so I don't know. I don't have an answer to that. If you have a full written alternative comp plan, I mean, you could submit it to me. I'm just curious to see.
How's it gonna be broadly disseminated?
I'll put it on Twitter.
Why don't you ask one of the people who were with us in even a different capacity when the last comp plan was presented?
Yeah.
Anytime I answer a question like that, I get jumped all over, so I'm not gonna.
But you know what I mean?
No,
I
I
mean,
don't.
there are other people
I
besides me.
have it on my
that were
list.
around in
I will
1989 when we had the
ask.
last comp plan that might-
Director Nicole Knapp, what system we have in place to accept alternative plans per Florida statute.
Or maybe even approach the consultant himself to maybe offer some of that.
I did approach them.
Okay.
I did. Said, when are we going to have these, chance to do all of these items? Oh, gee, I don't know, we never run into that before.
But we've never had a citizen take
Well,
the
but these,
initiative.
okay, this isn't
to
just
present
Manatee
comp
County, this is, these
Right.
guys do
Right.
statewide stuff.
No other questions?
Can I read a public announcement? I mean, this is from the county, and I just want to understand this. This is a notice of public hearing. Okay, so we have to sign up for the project list through the neighborhood services to get the project list that doesn't have maps or, you know, a helpful way of doing things. Not really keen on our GIS system because they don't show property lines, so it's really hard to do that. And then we end up with wetlands maps like that we have no faith in. But when it says something, we have a notice of public hearing, and I realize there's legally is required.
I live on the other side of the county.
An ordinance of Manatee County, now I'm an average citizen, and I've gone to my county website, and I want to see public hearing notices, and this is what I have. An ordinance of Manatee County, Florida relating to the regulation of sports and leisure services and natural resources, amending chapter 2-24 of the Manatee County Code to regulate the use of parks by the public, providing for convocation, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Would you please explain what it means?
Absolutely no idea.
Not a clue! Not a clue! This is what's going to our public, as a public notice.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
You would have never known that.
I know what I'm saying is that this is a public notice. So we have to sign up on the neighborhood registry to get the project list. Then we have to learn how to navigate a map, okay? Which when we compare it to the property appraiser's office, doesn't seem like we're on the same.
Or flip mode.
On the same, you know, page or whatever. Yeah, and then we have to sign up a separate sign-in to get public notices of meetings, and then we have to read Greek as to what this public notice means. If we haven't stopped by the side of the road and, you know, done a carrot silkwood, getting killed because we're reading a crappy code on the sign.
That's a very nice code, my wife.
Looks like chicken pox to me. Sorry, I like words, I like pictures, I like coloring books. But,
If you'd like, I'll fax it.
okay. But do you understand where we can't blame citizens for getting frustrated? Because we're not testing our systems for who they serve, which is our taxpayers. And we have asked, it's like we were talking about layering. When we had that first FDAP meeting at Vernon Bethany Baptist Church, they brought nothing to us. Everybody sat up there, and that was our previous board. Everybody sat up there. The only thing we got was a couple of maps that Charlie came up with where, you know, here's the way to the Appalachian Trail. But we didn't get, here's what FDOT has planned. Here's what the county has planned. Here's the CIP project. Here's where the property lines are. Here's where this guy's gonna do stuff. And it does come about that it looks like it's done in such a way that they want to make us not very educated about things. And then when we pick up with things like this, because we do know our lands out there, and we do know our property lines, we wanna have an avenue to go to. Look, what do we do about getting the county to schedule a discussion on impact fees? What do we do to get the county to, we're trying to support you, but we have to know what the rules are Or how do we force them to look at that impact fee before we pay another bunch of money?
You're not. I mean, here's how you do it in a normal world.
In a normal world.
In a normal world, if enough people show up and say, do something, then people who are supposed to represent those people do that. I mean, so, you know, in a normal world, here, I've made a motion to start the impact fee discussion. I put it on the agenda recently, after recess, was July or August, to get an update on when the impact fees were coming back. I've brought it up on the dais. It's just not coming back. They're not coming back. I can put it on the agenda again.
Do you think I could get up on the podium and say, if you don't address the impact fees, we're gonna remember this as election time, or probably not?
Kevin will have it
Are you a communist?
Oh, that's right.
We call everybody a communist.
Yeah.
But I mean, is.
No,
there's gotta be a mechanism.
I wish I had a better answer.
And you said we got January, February before the last review expires.
Technically, it's December. Technically it's December, but I think there's some flexibility. I've heard January, February is a real drop dead, like it's defensible. If it gets too old, the thing is, we can still pass it. It's a question of, is there a chance we get brought to court and sued saying we set our fees based upon outdated information? People can make that argument whenever they
Can the
want.
public bring forth a legal action for the county not taking action?
I suppose hypothetically, someone could start up a class action lawsuit against the county for dereliction of duty by not collecting sufficient
Hey, I came up
impact
with
fees.
my money, it was the rest of
They're
it.
directly costing you money by not collecting.
Absolutely,
In theory.
in theory,
Um,
class action.
You've been going to Walgreens again.
Really?
Isn't it Walgreens that has the commercials where everything is all, yeah?
Well,
Perfect.
it is, if we could get the dollars and cents out of it, that's where we've got to explain to the taxpayers, you know, again, everybody wants to yell it, and here's the thing, I don't believe that I know everybody paints the developers the bad guys and all this kind of stuff, but, you know, I really don't believe that they don't expect us to raise the impact fees. It's gonna be just, wait a minute, come on. They've got a cost of doing business with things. It's just
I
like
agree.
chopping
I
down a
agree.
mangrove, oh yeah, I'm gonna get fined, it's a cost of business. But it's kind of like enabling and indulging, that, I guess they're afraid that if we address the impact fees, that maybe I'm gonna lose the developer support in the next election.
That's
Well,
100%.
you kind of balance it. You can do one or the other, but I don't think our developers are gonna take it as, oh, well, you know, they knew this was coming. They adapted to it.
No, here's
Probably not good business.
here's the fallacy in it. They're not moving impact fees because they want to prove that they cannot move impact fees. It's trying to win, not do a try. I still fundamentally disagree with this whole premise that it's not in the best interest of developers to not pay these impact fees. The argument is, oh, it's gonna cost me an extra $10,000 per home. Guess what? If I take that $10,000 per home and build more roads with it, and more parks with it, and a new library next to it, and part of the impact fees go to law enforcement and public safety,
Yeah.
I bet you the value of your house goes up more than $10,000 just because of the amenities
I
I
don't
do
think
with
they're
your
that
money. I bet you
affordable.
your house is gonna go up $15,000 for every $10,000 impact fee because of the stuff I'm required by Florida law to spend. I can't just sit on impact fees forever. I gotta build these roads and build these parks and build these libraries. I bet you I increase the value of your home by substantially more than the impact fee increase I charge you to provide the amenities that increase that value. It is accretive to the developers to pay more in impact fees.
I don't think
if
they're
I
really
have
gonna
to
get
build
their
it out.
feelings that hurt
No,
about
the problem is, we get yelled at by people in the public, not naming names. And so we go out and build the roads anyway, without the impact fees, and build the libraries anyway. Guess what? Developers' value still went up because the amenities are still there. They just didn't have to pay for them. Guess who's paying for them? $250 million worth of bonding comes from general funds. At some point in time or another, your taxes are not only paying the debt service every year on
Yeah,
that,
if
but
we're
go
not
and
gonna
pay
be too smart,
$250 million.
they're gonna take advantage of us.
Yes, and as long as they think people are gonna yell at us because of traffic,
Of
they
course.
know we're gonna build the roads. We'll find the money. We'll dig through the cushions, we'll shut down transit, we'll close down a library, wherever we can to build roads, because that's what we get yelled at the most. They're not gonna build it if they don't have to. But once we start saying, we can't keep going back to that till, you have to pay, I promise you,
That's
that
when
the
they
house values are gonna go up more than the cost of the impact. It's in their best interest to pay more impact fees. They're just not going to when they feel they don't have to. Somebody eventually just has to say enough's enough. We're increasing these impact fees because they haven't been increased since 2015. They're supposed to be every 5 years. It's been 8. And that 2015 study was based on 2013 and 14 data. That's 10-year-old data.
Well, we were
that we're
already told
charging.
by.
And we're already charging 100%.
That she didn't like the way the last one turned out. So back to the drawing board. That was what, 3 years ago?
That's not why it went back to the drawing board. It went back to the drawing board because Florida legislature every year comes in and figures out a way to make things more difficult. They came in with a new bill that restated how you can charge impact fees in 2021 that said you can't go up more than 25% and do it over 2 years or 50% over 4 years. They add all this, and so our consultant had to pull that report back because the report was not written in accordance with the statute that was changed in 2000. That's why that was pulled back. Yes, people complained because they were saying impact fees were going up 37, 39%, and that was too high. Guess what? The impact fees are going up like 150% in the new report because inflation, since that 2020 report, inflation's been double digits. So whereas impact fees should have been called 10,000 to like 14,000, now it's like 10,000 like 25,000, just because of the inflated cost. They were better off pushing that last study through and sitting on it. But nobody could have anticipated double-digit inflation. So it has to come back. It's 100% not sustainable.
So how much do you, if we did wait, and with this, and you said this one expires in December, but they take January, February without revisiting?
That's an informal discussion with the attorneys that I think it can push.
Okay, so if we don't, then we have to do a new study. That moves it out another 2 years, right?
No, the study's like 6 to 9 months. It's already done, it's an update.
Okay, and then how much money are we going to be?
Way more than they're gonna let on.
They're gonna let off, okay.
I'll give you the short answer. I'm actually gonna work on a Substack on this, and I'll give you the real answer. The short answer that you're gonna hear is about $250,000. That's because that's the cost of the study.
Right.
I'll let you know what it actually is when I put all that number.
Because
I have all the raw data.
So you know they're starting to walk out the door, pretty soon they're gonna start flashing the lights.
Oh, yeah, it's after 8 o'clock. Hey, George, one last question.
Yes.
Do any of the commissioners actually vote based upon what their constituents have told them they want?
No.
Yeah, the developers.
Well, no, seriously, is there
Well,
any?
Amanda did for Elwood Park.
It depends. Elwood Park is a good example. Elwood Park, that project got terminated in part because of the public output. Same thing with Bradenton Tennis Center out by El Conquistador. That was a very publicly influenced decision. Moving forward and trying to figure out a way of acquiring Mixons is very public focused in terms of the attention. So I'm not gonna say no. I think there's a fair bit of listening to the public. I think a lot of stuff you see come through isn't the big ticket headliner in the newspaper, but there's a lot of things. Like I'm working internally on the Citizens Academy. That's not a big thing, but that came from the public asking me, and if that gets initiated, it's part of it. I'm working on a microforest solution to greenway buffers. That came from the public, actually from one of these town halls. I just had another Zoom 2 days ago on it. Also from the public. So there's a fair bit of stuff that comes from the public. Less so when it comes to development.
You get thrown great presents for saying that.
Every now and then. All right.
Yep.